Democrats have also been making the point all week long that this drawdown was much more a function of stress on the military than political success, than any kind of political or military success in Iraq. Here's what Senator Clinton had to say.
Since troop levels in Iraq must decrease by this amount in order to avoid extending Army deployments beyond 15 months and straining our military even further. Taking credit for this troop reduction is like taking credit for the sun coming up in the morning.
Wasn't the drawdown a matter of military necessity?
No. I think the way that General Pace and others have described it, other military leaders have described it, is resource-informed, but not resource-driven. After all, we've got 2.1 million men and women in the United States Armed Forces. If the circumstances required it, other choices could have been made.
But hasn't General Casey, the Army Chief of Staff, said he wouldn't even consider extending the tours beyond 15 months, which is pretty much the only way beyond calling in the National Guard that you could get the forces there, isn't it?
Well, that's one alternative, but there are other ways in which you can manage the force that could allow you to sustain that force.
So if General Petraeus comes back in March and says, you know, we're making some progress, but we can't continue to draw down right now, where would the troops come from?
Well, I don't want to get into that kind of a hypothetical. Obviously, his expectation is that he will be able to continue the progress that we've seen on the ground in Anbar and around Baghdad, and so he's anticipating that he'll be able to follow through on what the president announced.
But you're saying alternatives are on the table, so does that indicate a willingness to extend tours if necessary?
No, we do not want to extend tours. There's no question about that, and we would look at alternatives other than extending tours. But I think that no one believes right now that that's going to prove necessary.
As you know, Democrats and some Republicans in Congress want to pretty much mandate that. They want that the tours cannot be extended. Senator Jim Webb of Virginia wants to pass a bill that would say that troops must spend as much time as home as their previous tour in Iraq, and it appears that they're getting close to the 60 votes they need to pass the Senate. Would you recommend a veto of that bill?
Yes, I would, because
Why?
It would be extremely difficult for us to manage that. It really is a backdoor way to try and force the president to accelerate the drawdowns. Again, the drawdowns have to be based on the conditions on the ground. We have to leave Iraq in a much more stable place than it has been over the last 2 or 3 years. So the alternative to accelerating the drawdowns is to take a number of steps in terms of managing the force that actually involves some of the things that I was just alluding to. Potentially using more Guard and Reserve. Extensions are a possibility if we were to have to comply with a law like that gave us no flexibility.